Hey there, Dango Stu here. Today's video is about making the mounting plate for the Savwinch anchor winch and is proudly sponsored by marineengine.com. First up though, Paul and I headed out and started looking at the top of the wheelhouse so we can get that cleaned up to get the awning on the deck. Getting the awning up is a bit of a priority because currently it's in the way, sitting on the deck, so we figured let's start there. This is Paul. I did a terrible job of introducing him last time, sorry. Paul's been in a couple of other videos. You'll probably remember him from such cinematic greats as anchoring a small boat and mounting an outboard or whatever. So he's going to be my hands for today. Thank you, Paul.
You are welcome.
All right, so I'll show you what we got.
Yep.
The corners there are the worst. That's where the water's sort of gathered. We'll needle gun right along here. There's a lip here that'll keep all the debris on the roof, which is great. And then we've got the vacuum cleaner on board, so we'll just vacuum it all up and then get some primer on. Some wash while Paul's climbing off. Do you want to wait for the wash to go or get down quickly?
Yeah, I might wait.
Yeah, probably safer. We're just going to wait for this guy's wash to go past before, yeah. Particularly when you've never done it before. So kind of as expected, the news isn't good for this corner. This is where all the rainwater gathers. There's crusty rust here, but there's so many holes right through that we figure why bother, just stop. We'll cut the whole corner off and replace it. Don't see any other way. Fortunately, actually, this lip seems pretty solid still. So I think we can actually just cut the flat plate out and get that welded in. So, annoying delay, but it's got to be done. Eddie? When we got back to the mooring, we cheered ourselves up by inviting Eddie over for a beer, but he got pretty bored with that pretty quickly and decided he just wanted to go home. Poor Eddie. Floppy ears. When Paul did the needle gun on the wheelhouse roof, we found there were holes right through, which doesn't surprise me because that's where the water pools. It's been sitting for 30 years. So we're going to plasma cut that out, put new steel in. But that means taking the plasma cutter out to the boat. But first we're going to finish the mounting plate for the winch because that involves plasma cutting. So Paul's done a list. A few things we're going to do in the workshop today. We're going to make the winch plate. I have the ladder back from Matt at Hornsby Sandblasting, so that's ready to get painted up. And we're going to make the new seat and footrest for the driving position. I'll show you that on the boat, and a few little bits and pieces that need sort of cleaning up and painting, and a whole lot of stuff we're going to do on the boat. The stuff I'm focusing on the boat at the moment is about getting the boat ready to go offshore. It's fine as it is in the river, but it's not ready to go offshore yet, so it needs more ballast, the exhaust blocked up, the old wet exhaust, all that kind of stuff. That's not really the highest priority at the moment though. I do want to get the winch going and the awning up. This is our plate, 12mm steel. We've got this marked, so we'll plasma cut the corners round so we can weld right round the periphery, drill and tap the mounting holes. This is the lid for the footrest that I took off. It's laminated over the screw head, so I end up just prying it off. So I'm going to write this off. We're going to cut a new bit out of this, which is actually the old transom from the boat I was going to build. So it's a double piece of ply glued together. And we'll cut this out, put some carpet on it, and then we'll put that back in as a hinge lid to the footrest so we can keep that stuff stored inside.
I'll just make it a couple of mil bigger on each side.
While Paul was cutting the metal for the mounting plate, I just started putting a little bit of oil on the timber treads that go onto the ladder that lets you get down into the cabin. We ended up having lots of trouble with the plasma cutter, couldn't even get it to do a pilot arc, changed all the consumables. So now we've just done, you know, sectored cuts with a grinder, and we'll just grind it smooth. Here's today's little disaster. Australian trees, particularly blackbutts, shocker for dropping branches. Went through and it only broke one rafter. None of the structures moved. Oh, that rafter's, you can see the bird's mouth on that rafter's lifted up. And the next one, so it looks like the whole roof's lifted up. None of this glass is cracked though, so I don't think the frame's ultimately moved at all. But means fixing this, getting rid of the branch obviously, and probably getting rid of what's left of this tree. It's been lopped so many times over the decades that I really don't trust these ones hanging over the cabin here. Every day, you know, we walk directly under it too, so oh well, another thing to sort out. We're back, another weekend, back on the boat. What we've got now, this is the base plate. We cut the corners round with a grinder in the end after issues with the plasma cutter. These are the mounting holes we need to drill and tap. I traced through the base of the winch itself, but we're just gonna, I think, just, what do you reckon, hole punch one,
Yep.
and then do a measurement to the next, make one that our point of reference, so make sure they're square with a square.
Yep.
And then the exact measurements,
And
hole punch them.
we've got the measurements all the way round.
I
and
do,
across, so
yeah.
we can just cross-check them.
Yep, and this will give us at least a ballpark because that's traced on the actual base. Right. Savwinch give you a really good manual, but the one thing's a little bit hard to read is the numbers here. I think it's 140 and then 100 between. Yeah, see, look. Oh yeah, no, that's pretty close. Yeah, so 140 mil that way.
100 the other.
100, yep. So it should be 200 centre to centre. Yeah, cool. Yep. Paul and I were just talking too, if it's a tiny bit out, we can elongate the hole in the base of the winch if it's a problem. But we'll get it as accurate as we can.
So if we saw
So we just sent a punch and they're all really accurate, which is great. Now, need to figure out the drill bit size for
this guy.
that guy, yes.
Grade 8 bolts.
10 mil high tensile, yep. What I'll do, let me have a look, hang on. So see there, it's so it's 10 mil, 1.5 mil thread pitch. What's this got? It's even got a little table. There was a formula somebody said to me the other day between, it's like the diameter minus the thread pitch or something, gives you the drill bit size. But of course I've forgotten what it is already. So. Oh, diameter, right. So 10 mil diameter, 1.5, 8.5 drill bit, that's it.
There we go.
So 8.5 mil drill bit. Yeah. This is almost empty. The actual decent one's on the boat, that's annoying. Oh, the boat's actually at Pedley's, it's not on the water at the moment, it's on this wall.
Handy. Scrounging for drill bits.
8.5.
Oh, jackpot!
Jackpot, nice. I was lucky. So this is a 10 mil 1.25. This is a 10 mil 1.5. Handle. There we go. We decided to give the plate a clean up before we drilled and tapped it, just while it was still nice and smooth. Paul's drilling these holes in the plate now, so I'm going to get on and another coat of paint on the ladder, final coat, and clean up this plywood. And we're going to put some carpet on this one, and this is the new seat, so I'm actually going to put some fiberglass, probably both sides, to make this really strong. So that first one's too over. When we did this first one, we moved the bed and forgot to lock it, and the movement put our first one a mil or so out, but that's okay. We'll elongate the hole on the winch itself. Paul's now tapping the 6 holes we drilled, well, he drilled, And I'll take shared credit.
You take the credit, mate.
Thanks, mate. Yeah. Then I showed him how to drill. And I'm now going to cut, well, at least measure. Paul probably cut it. This is the nitrile rubber I used for the gasket on the fuel tanks. And we need to have a rubber gasket between the base of the winch and that plate according to the instructions. So I'll cut this and then we'll measure the same holes and use a wad punch to punch them out, and then we'll install that as well. All right, we're just going to degrease it a bit and paint it. This is the back side, so we're going to paint this first because we can't get to it afterwards. And just start with a bit of etch primer on pack epoxy. Part of me would love to have taken this up to Matt at Hornsby Sandblasting, get it blasted, get him to prime it, but it's already dragging on. The painted side is the side that goes against the hull. So now I'm just going to run a flat disc around this bevel just to clean it up again for the welding. Our plan now is to test fit it to the winch itself, just make sure everything's right. We think one of them is out because of the bed on the drill press being a bit wrong. So we may have to elongate that hole slightly. I'd rather do that now so that when we finally lift it up, it'll bolt straight on. Yeah, that's good. And so when the drum's full, we want it here. So the set spindle needs to be about this height.
Yep.
Because you need to imagine the drum's completely full, so that as the drum fills, the rope will go down, and we can't let it hit that. So so we can actually mark with our pen. That's about the lowest we want the bottom of the drum to be.
Right. So that drum will be full of rope.
Yes, exactly. So if you imagine that drum full of rope, the bottom needs to come to here. Any lower, and it's going to hit here. So yeah, if this was any lower, the rope would hit here.
Gotcha. This rougher corner is down?
Yeah.
Is that what we're
Okay, let's make that down.
Yep.
So if we lay it just almost the way it is.
Yep.
I don't know if I said in another video, but something I looked up with bolts is that there's a standard size or a depth of a nut on a bolt, like these nuts here, and that if you pull on a bolt, the bolt will fail before that much thread will pull out, which I was really surprised. These are high tensile bolts, and this is not high tensile steel, so it's slightly different, but it's actually thicker. These nuts are probably closer to 6mm, whereas this plate's 12mm. So the amount of force it actually takes to rip the thread out of this doubler is apparently greater than what it would take to break the bolt itself. The one hole we were worried about didn't quite line up, so Paul just elongated it with a drill. 350 tall, which means, oh yeah, there we've already marked that. So we kind of just need to come... This is dodgy as all fuck, isn't it? But we're doing a 1 inch wide, you know, grind the steel off, so...
The bodge master would be proud.
Yeah, that is bodge, isn't it? Hang on. Let's do it a little bit better. And we haven't even had beer. I believe it's pronounced Turco, not Turku, even though it's double O. Only because I was watching a video, which was in Dutch, but I presume they're the manufacturers. And what you do with this is you just whack it on drill. These are tungsten tips, so really tough, really hard, and these rubber flexible sort of mounting discs. Reasonably low speed, goes in the drill. Should we try the cordless or may as well? Otherwise we've got the powered one if it runs out of juice.
Let's give it a run. Let's see what happens.
Now the thing about this, it'll take paint off, rust off, all that kind of stuff, and it'll actually give you a little profile like sandblasting. So it's pretty good for painting over the top of, which is nice. Apparently these will last to do about 30 square meters, which is pretty cool, a lot more than like a flap disc wheel. And yeah, so it gives you the profile, which is the big bonus. The only gotcha with them apparently
is you have to be careful. For example, if I was cleaning this up and I catch like a sharp edge like this, you can break the tungsten tips. So it's mostly for doing these sort of big flat areas. When I was getting into an edge like this, I'd probably swap to the needle gum, but use the disc for the big flat area. So anyway, let's try it.
Also, I see it only has one rotation.
Yes, has to go forward, yes.
Go forward,
yeah, you can't go backwards against that.
Yep.
So we'll try with the cordless, see what happens.
So the Turco ended up working pretty well and pretty quickly, even just on the cordless drill. So I'm looking forward to having a go myself with a larger area soon. But for now, let's just get on with this welding.
So now we've taken this paint, which is probably quite toxic and not great to weld through. I'll actually give it a light spray, just so there isn't bare steel behind it. There we go, a little bit of stick along the top just to hold it in place. That way I can sort of finish it when Paul's not here. I'm going to get a little bottle jack. I'm going to push the bottle jack against here, bring the bottom in, and then weld it out during the week. So unfortunately this is as far as we're going to get, but it's good progress. We can't finish the true installation much further at the moment, but just going to do a little bit of a mock-up to show it to you. So this is the... gung-ho of us. That's alright, sit down a bit. Although it's got a bit of stretch to it too. We won't put this in now, but this will go behind between the winch and the plate for the final installation.
Yeah, see, that's an easy thread.
Nice.
Now we can pivot off that.
Maybe get the far side one. These bolts are too long at the moment because we're going to have the gasket, a flat washer and a spring washer. They'll also have thread sealant to stop them coming undone and to stop water getting in behind the plate once it's continuously welded. These cables then are going to come down, around, up a little bit, and through the front of the wheelhouse through some cable glands to stop water tracking in. We're just realising how close this post is to the front of the wheelhouse, and once the drum is full of rope and chain, it's going to hit there. I'm erring on the side. I've got two options really, is move it higher, it's not the end of the earth, probably actually the easier thing to do, but I'm actually erring on the side of cutting this off the deck. I can't remember whether it goes through the deck. I don't think it does. I'll double check that, whether it's got a socket going down. If it doesn't, I'm actually erring on the side of cutting that off the deck and moving it forward and leaving the winch as low as it can be. Something to ponder till next video.
Because we don't like doing it the easy way.
No, that's it. We don't. So hard to picture things from every angle until you hang it and mock it up, isn't it?
But that's part of the process.
Before we headed home, I looked below decks, and yes, that is a bit of a Samson post that goes down into the bulkhead that separates the chain locker from the cabin, so very hard to move. That means I am going to need to cut those top welds and raise the anchor winch up in order to install it properly, so next week. Well, thanks for watching, and huge thanks to Paul for giving me a hand. Definitely a step closer. We're not there yet, but you know, the plate's made, and now I think raise it up maybe 100, 150 mil, and I think we'll be in a real sweet spot for that. So we'll finish that up hopefully next time I see you. All right, take care. Bye. You're still hungry, aren't you? Well, look, there's seed. What about this bit? Yeah, see? If I get it for you, you'll eat it. Apart from the fact that I've now got stuff on my hand to try and fix it. There you go. What about that? You're being fussy. And you're going grey. What do you two reckon? She's being fussy, isn't she? You are going grey. The other's just been pooing on your head while you sit in the egg box, laying box. See, it's good. You'll see that Daisy no longer panics if you go near her. Oh, Daisy. She's a chicken, isn't she, compared to you? What do you want? You just want more food too, don't you? I guess we can find you something. You actually had a lot this morning. I think you're just being gobbleguts. Why don't you go hunting for food? It's a nice day, no excuse.